Those of you who have to transport your music from wherever you are to wherever the orchestra is playing need to set in motion a process by which you can do this, whether it is in a little, an actual music trunk with wheels, or whether it's in one of those little Tupperware thingies that you put on a luggage thing and pull along. But you have to know how you're going to do that, and you have to know if you have to be the best friend of your stage crew. That's what it boils down to. Okay, they can be your best friends, they can be your worst enemies. I'm married to a stage crew. I can say this, but they have to help you out. You should not be expected to single-handedly schlep all of this stuff everywhere you play. Deb, how many venues did you tell me your orchestra goes to?
55.
55 different venues.
It's like that with the Virginia Symphony too. We're all over the place. Yeah.
And do you schlep it yourself, Paula?
Yeah, we do. Potomi and I, we have a series of bins and folding carts. And we also have, actually when Melissa was there, we got a different type of folder that was much lighter, and also make inside parts so we don't actually put those in a folder. So for most programs, if it's not too much music on it, it can fit in a pretty small bin. But if we have multiple programs, I mean, sometimes we might have 3, maybe 4 programs booked at the same time. The Virginia Symphony is just a very busy orchestra. It gets hard to
Well, it does get hard,
that
and
stuff
to
around
expect
there.
a person or even two.
Yeah, between the two of us. But our
manhandle
crew
that
is
all.
very good to us. They're very good, and they're very helpful with helping us to.
Stage
So
crews
sometimes
like
getting into a venue is hard, the metal steps and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. We had the old New Orleans Symphony get, before they folded and before they reinvented themselves in Louisiana, you know, way back. They had, their library, you had to access it outside the building up a fire escape. And at the time, I thought, how in the world do you get your music down from there? I'm not going to have a handful of music and be trying to go down one of those open, you know how those fire escapes are like, you know, I thought, how in the world does this person do this? And I never did get an answer. I mean, I don't think I could do it. Physically, I don't think I could do it. So, you know your limitations. You know what you can lift. You know what you're comfortable with. You know they have, your workplace has to provide you help with these things. And they really do, so take care of it. Okay. Alrighty. The library's expectation of the staff. You have every right to expect from your staff, your hierarchy, complete and timely information. Now, that seems simple, but it isn't if you haven't told them what timely means to you. Okay, they need to know your parameters. If you want stuff 6 weeks out, 8 weeks out, 12 weeks out, sometimes it's contractual, sometimes it's not. Okay, we don't have anything in our contract that says when the music has to be available to the musicians. We have kind of an unwritten rule that we follow, which is 3 to 4 weeks in advance of the first rehearsal. Now, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But the people upstairs need to know this, okay? You should expect your staff, and this was touched on in this last session here about union negotiations, the staff needs to recognize the fact that first and foremost, we are musicians. We think like musicians, we walk like musicians, we clap like musicians, therefore we are musicians. And that is not always true for the rest of the staff. Right now, I'm the only person on the National Symphony staff who has ever played professionally in an organization. And that's kind of, I think, a sad commentary, frankly. More and more administrative people are coming in from other angles. They get their master in arts management or whatever, and it's a wonderful thing, and they know lots of wonderful stuff, but they don't have the musician frame of reference. They don't come at it from that way, and they need to know that you want to be considered a musician first, okay? And if you can't tell, I feel very strongly about it. This is true also of your organization's performers. You know, you're respecting their musicianship, and you need to encourage them to respect your musicianship. Now, the way you prepare your materials will kind of automatically do that. But it never hurts to say, you know, when I played this piece, or back when I did this one, or have you ever done this ballet, or when I hated playing second violin in this opera. It never hurts to throw that out to remind them that you are a musician, because I think they forget. Even though they know it up here, I think they forget sometimes. And the last thing is, do your best to have a complete, direct communication with your music director. 100%. If you can pick up the phone or send an email directly to your music director and cut through all the stuff, you know, it'll save everybody a lot of time. Some music directors like that. Some music directors will throw up roadblocks. And you will know enough not to abuse that privilege. I don't send an email to Leonard every day. That would be an insult. And I'd hear about it right away. Of course, his office is adjacent to the library. So, but at the same time, if he's off conducting somewhere around the globe and I really need to know something, I don't want to have to wait for it to go through that food chain again. And I can email him and he gets back just like that. And that's a wonderful thing. And at the same time, he'll send me an email and say, Marcia, can you do X, Y, Z? And so that's a good thing. It works both ways. Okay, nitty gritty. Now we're into the music. Okay, after all that review. To rent or to purchase. To rent or to purchase. Sometimes it's an easy decision because you have no choice. You have to rent it. But what happens if it's a piece that's available for purchase? How do you decide if you want to spend that money on that piece? And that's complicated. I can't answer that for you. Our rule of thumb is, do we ever think it'll see the light of day after this performance is coming up? We're doing, next week in fact, a thing that Leonard does every year. He picks a composer and he does a week called the Composer Portrait. This year's composer is Dvorak. And what happens is the first half of the program is with Martin Goldsmith from NPR. Martin gives a little biography, lecture, whatever, of Dvorak. And while he's talking, Leonard gives little snippets of the pieces in chronological order to go with this biography. Okay, the next to last piece in this demo is The Noonday Witch. For 75 years, the National Symphony has never owned The Noonday Witch. Did Marcia want to go buy it because we're playing 8 bars of it for this? No. So our friends in Boca Raton just happened to have a set that we could rent for $50. Well, hey, that was an easy answer, okay? If it were a piece, the piece on the second half of the program is the Dvorak G major symphony, okay? Number 8, number 4, whatever. We have already 2 sets to this piece. Leonard wants his own set to this piece. So we say to the music director, we're not buying you another set. That's 3 sets. You're leaving in a year, boss. When are we going to use this again, you know? So, no, you can't really do that. So we decided not to buy a 3rd set. We went to Leonard with the 2 options that we had, and he picked one. He's happy, we're happy. We saved probably $800. So there you go.